I almost have right now at this point 900 people subscribed into it, and like 200 people actively using it daily to learn AI skills.
Users, stakeholders, they just give us information. It's not positive or negative. It's just information. Just like analytics, it's just information we have to interpret. That's a really great point of view.
There's a lot of things that are not documented and some things that are very different into how the product behaves.
Hello, I'm Alex Ponomarov, and welcome to the Thriving Engineering Podcast. In each episode, I talk to people from across the software development industry about AI. Today's guest is Elena Calvillo. Elena, welcome to the podcast. Super happy to have you today. Can you please tell our listeners and viewers a bit about yourself?
Thank you so much, Alex. So yeah, I'm Elena Calvillo. I'm a product manager. I have worked in different industries. I actually started my career as a front-end engineer, so that has helped me a lot in the AI era to understand and communicate to engineers. Recently, I have a newsletter called Prompt-Led Product on Substack, where I teach a lot about what I build and I do there to my audience. So, yeah.
I personally love your newsletter. You had a very interesting idea in the post about AI taking your job and that you're glad about it. Can you tell a bit more about that and what changed for you since the moment that you felt things are changing?
Yeah, that's a good one. So, what changed is that I stopped waiting for permission to build. So in the past and in my corporate life, so much of the energy went into titles, processes, and many sync meetings. So instead of focusing on the actual product and the people building behind it, right? So it was just an enormous time of wasting there trying to align everything and everyone in the same room. So when I were independent in January. I had no team. I had no engineers. It was all just me. So that felt very good, actually. I built DraftKit, that app, the AI adventchallenge.com, and still writing. Right. So the glad part is actually something very honest that I communicate in my newsletter. And I think in corporate, people spend so much time trying to protect their titles, and instead of encouraging the teams to complete the goal and do something valuable for the product. So once I went free from that, that bottleneck disappeared for me.
I'm sure a lot of people in the corporate world envy you because that's quite a transition. Can you tell a bit more about the AI Advent Challenge that you launched in December, as far as I remember? But I think it's such an amazing product, and you got so many people involved. How have you managed to do all this so quickly?
So that is a community, that is a product. It was very challenging. I almost have right now at this point 900 people subscribed into it, and like 200 people actively using it daily to learn AI skills. Yeah, so this community event that's supposed to teach in 25 days an AI skill on a different day for this audience turned into something very different from my original idea. I actually didn't expect that a lot of people jump right into it. So this is something that I want to do each year now, and my focus on this year will be if I can get some sponsors, maybe talk to another tech companies to see what happens in that space. But yeah, I mean, it was a huge experience for me. I think it was the first application that I built entirely with Lovable and Cursor that really made this mind shift for me.
This is huge. I'm sure a lot
Yeah.
of companies and people would love to get involved. What about DraftKit? Is it related to the AI Advent Challenge, or it's a completely different product that you also built yourself?
It's different, but it was born because of the AI Advent Challenge. So back in that time, between November, December of last year, I was very busy building the AI Advent Challenge. So a lot of people approached to me and say, "Hey, I love what you're doing. Let's collab together on a guest post." And I was like, "No, I'm sorry. I'm so busy. Let's do that back in, I don't know, next year, or I'll reach back to you." But I felt that I needed a tool to actually help me handle those collaborations, right? Instead of just using my mind and tell them, well, push them back. I wish I had at that point a calendar where I show my newsletter schedule and probably have some requests instead of using just Substack messages. So that's how DraftKit born because of that friction that I had at that point. And it turns out that um, it's really something very different from what I did on the AI Advent Challenge, because that was more like a community tool. Uh, but DraftKit is something different. So it's a workspace for writers to write together. And I had actually an assumption that the calendar for scheduling and coordinating was like the most important part of the product. But turns out that after listening to my users' feedback, it was not. So that changed into a workspace solution, so everyone can share their ideas, write together before publishing on Substack. That's why they value the most. So both are different products, but one was born from a necessity at that point.
Very interesting. You're writing about things like product-led, prompt-led product. How are you using this approach, or were you using this approach when building DraftKit?
So the ideal behind prompt-led product is that you're using AI to make decisions. So this is something that I have seen in the industry. Also, a lot of companies and teams are jumping into, we are AI powered, but it's just a label, right? So their products hasn't changed a lot. They are the same. They're just trying to add a small AI feature to tell everyone that they are AI powered. But my approach and the ideal of a prompt-led product is different. It's actually use AI to challenge your mindset, to challenge your assumptions, and validate the ideas before building anything, even if it's a prototype, right? So when I built DraftKit, I started to validating this idea with Gemini and Cloud before writing anything, and that's how I started to write my product specifications. So, like I said, the collaboration was the whole point, and listening to my users was actually something very valuable that I didn't expect to change in the product. But that small piece of using AI to challenge your assumptions and listening to the users helped me to redirect all of my energy into the writing experience.
Yeah, it's actually super important because now you can build anything, and the most important piece becomes deciding what to build. And you also write about technical clarity. What does that mean, and how you use that when building your own product?
So technical clarity is basically that you're able to explain how systems work, but to people that are not technical heavy users, and even how to communicate with engineers, right? So it makes a lot of difference if your engineers understand your requirements from the start, instead of just guessing what you meant in that part. So just to give you an example of how I do that with prompt engineering, I don't, for example, I don't write to Lovable or Cursor or any AI tool. The API should do this, right? It's like very, very ambiguous for anyone, even for AI. So I try to be more specific. If I'm, for example, the MCP bridge that I recently published, I was like very structured with it. I need this output in JSON format to not waste time. I need that the free users are able to read the titles only, but the paid subscribers get the full content of the prompt vault. I need that the rate limit is, I don't know, 50 requests per hour or something like that. So that helps a lot into have a good output instead of just wasting a lot of time and energy in a conversation with AI.
That's the product brain MCP, right? That you posted
Yes, yes.
a few weeks ago. Yeah, yeah, I saw that one. It's a really great idea. I love it. And again, you're setting the example for product managers to build their own tools. You're building a lot, and clearly you've learned a lot while building your own products. If you like in a hypothetical situation, if you join the team tomorrow that you know nothing about a typical engineering team, what learnings, what knowledge would you bring from your own products, and what you would try to fix in that team and how they're building things?
So apart from trying to understand the team dynamics, more specifically into fix something, I actually have done this. And the first thing that I do is read the documentation and compare that to the product. Because I have found that many, many times there's a gap in there. There's a lot of things that are not documented and some things that are very different into how the product behaves. So that's the first thing that I will do to understand where the friction lives and what is the first thing that we can fix to get the behavior right, right? Because a lot of documentation, it's not like mostly updated, and that's a huge problem in the industry that even before AI, it has been there a lot of times. So that's how I will do also friction audits. That it's something that I just added into my services recently. So basically, it's just stress test these products and see where the real gap is.
Interesting. And maybe you can tell us where are the typical places to look for those gaps? Like, can you give an example of such friction?
Yeah, for example, a lot of problems happen even in the login, even after start using the product, how you are onboarding your users, if they are finding things easily. And there's a lot of sometimes disconnection with the premise, what the product's supposed to do, and what's the real value that the users get. So, for example, I could tell you about DraftKit again. that I thought that the calendar was the most important thing, right? But that was my assumption. So when I listened to my users, it was like, no, I need a place where I can actually collaborate with other writers, because if I don't have that, then I will just use Google Docs. That is free and that is easy to use, right? And I also got some other feedback about I need to have uh, comments in the draft, and those things actually shape what the product does now. So that's what I mean when you said that your premise is different from what the product is actually doing for the user.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Do you, as a product manager, do you rely more on customer development and user interviews than on product analytics, like Mixpanel, Post Hog?
I try to use both. I actually, now that I can build my own products, something that I do is get the analytics by myself. So I'm not relying into an external tool. I'm able to track the clicks in there and have a dashboard just for me. And usually I have a funnel. Yeah. So I did that for the AI Advent Challenge, and it helped me a lot to understand how people enter into the platform, but also what were the challenges on different days that they were actually completed faster, and the other ones that were like more difficult, or probably took more time for them to solve, right, to complete. So that was super, super helpful. And I did that with inside Lowell itself. I actually didn't use an external tool. Um, that is something very easy to implement right now. But I still like to get in touch with users, because there's a difference there between analytics, which is raw data that you can interpret it in different ways. And data can tell different stories, right? But your users will tell you another one. So I try to balance both.
100%. Yeah. Do you think, what do you think about this general idea that everybody is going to build software for themselves now? The SaaS apocalypse that people are talking about. On one hand, you've just rolled out your own analytics for your product, right? So that is happening. On the other hand, you're building products like DraftKit. So what do you think? What's your perspective for the next 5 years?
I think it's something challenging and also encouraging that anyone can build. Software has become cheap, right? So it's not more like liability anymore, but we also need to be very careful. So one thing is just vibe coding for the sake of trying a prototype or even using AI and see what happens. But another is building a product. And building a product, it's something that you need to orchestrate from beginning to end. And there's a lot of things around it. It's not just ship anymore. It's distribution, it's how to monetize it, it's how to announce it, it's the marketing around it. There's a lot of things, and you also need to be very careful with security and privacy, because I have seen so many people from the non-technical background, for example, have started to build their own products. But I'm not sure if they are actually concerned about the privacy of the users. I mean, anyone can just hack everything and get the user data. And just to put a little, the quickest example. So it's kind of worrying on that part, but it's also an opportunity for anyone to build and learn about those aspects that sometimes designers ignore in the past, or even engineers or non-technical folks, right?
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Is this the year of a solo builder, or the engineering teams are here to stay? What do you think as a product manager?
Yeah, I think solo builders have never been more powerful, honestly. And I have experienced that. I don't think teams are going to disappear. They are needed. We need more engineers. I think the market is actually opening more jobs for engineers and product managers. But also the tools that let one person ship compared to what a team of five can do, it's actually where the limit is, right? So there's a lot of things around it of getting users, supporting them, and growing over time. Uh, those are the basic team problems that a solo builder will not face. So the solo builder can now focus on anything around the product itself, and if the idea hits, I think that's a great opportunity. So that's actually what I'm trying to do with DraftKit. That we have now 70 active users, and
Nice.
I'm finding myself, yeah, I'm finding myself seeing more how to grow this platform and even doing distribution better. So I'm pondering now within probably getting paid ads, or how to attract people that it's outside of Substack. And that's something that I can uh, solve myself. But I need to also be very conscious that it's investing in more time and probably knowledge that I didn't have in the last year, right? So growing a business alone, it's hard. It's hard. I can say that.
Yeah, as a founder myself, I can 100% relate to this. I'm sure that over time you will find amazing people who will back you up. Uh, Before it was a requirement, you couldn't really do much yourself because everything was harder and much more time consuming. Now you can get, as you were saying, you can get pretty far ahead. You launched DraftKit just recently, and you already have 17 paying users. That's actually amazing. Um, Congratulations! I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you tell something about the intersection about of AI and product work right now that is very exciting for you, but underrated, as in a lot of people don't realize that.
That's a very interesting question. I believe that's something that has been very excited for me, is seeing my new MCP protocol that I just built. And I haven't seen a lot of people doing that, just a few that I know. So I think that's seriously underrated. Um, and I can see how that will be the future for a lot of us, into how we build, how we consume information, and how we search for a knowledge base. So honestly, directly through an API key. I think that's like part of the future that we are living right now. So, like I said, not a lot of folks have done that with their products or even their content, but there's an opportunity there. So, imagine someone um, just that pays cloud and connects you through your thinking. That's like, wow, amazing, amazing. Not to get just generic AI answers from uh, Google search or anything. So getting the specific patterns and prompts from someone that you know it's an expert in the industry, I think that changes the story entirely.
100%. Maybe it will be the next product you build. Sounds very exciting and useful.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's actually what I have with the Promlet Vault, but I just launched it like 2 weeks ago. So I'm just still getting some users in there, trying to see who from the paid subscribers are actually using it more and what are the prompts that they are consuming more. So I just have a few users in that place, but hopefully it will grow and I can see what's more important to them, right? So what are the prompts that they are using mostly in their work? If they are trying to use a prompt for stakeholder communication or how to draft a roadmap from scratch, I mean, I can see how valuable will that be.
Yeah. I love how you're thinking about this. You're immediately turning some need into a product and you're testing it. And it sounds like the gap between, oh, people might have this pain point between that realization and like POC of a product or MVP of a product, it is becoming very small, right?
Yeah, exactly. Very, very interesting times.
100%. If someone is super early in their career today, in their product manager career, what you would recommend them to focus on?
I would say because building is becoming more of a common ground for anyone. So not just try to follow a tutorial project, but actually build something for yourself. So something that solves a real problem, even at work, right? So maybe there's a workflow, a disconnection between tools that you can improve, uh, something that it's already generating friction for your workflow. So try to build that and ship it and see who uses it. I mean, if it's solving a necessity for yourself, that's fine. But when you get the exposure of building in public, that's another realization. I think it changes a lot of your mindset, and especially for product managers that we are constantly thriving and getting user feedback, that really resonates with the work.
Yeah, that's a good advice. Um, too often product managers are focusing more, on assumptions, on personas, on scenarios, but those are hypothetical or interpreting the analytics as we talked. This is a totally different approach. Such a great advice. Thank you. What would be the one thing you would want a person listening to or viewing our um, conversation today to take away?
So the tools that we have now has made building so easier than ever. And it's actually very easy to build, but it is not easy to ship. So again, trying to reinforce that point of building in public because it really helps. I think shipping means that you have already defined the problem, that you have tested with real users when something is breaking. So put that in front of people and validate, as you said, the user personas, if that is real, and keep going with the conversation on almost instant feedback right now, and not just focus on provide a demo because demos are easy, they are very exciting, but when you ship that to production into the real world, that's what changes everything. So at this point, I would say stop vibe coding and start shipping and building in public more.
I love this. A lot of people in product management are talking about building prototypes, vibe coding features, and so on. You have such a unique and different perspective of just building in public. It's amazing. Thank you so much. for this advice, and we can all learn a lot from what you're doing. I personally envy you, to be honest, because um, I'm a former engineer. I can build a lot of things, but it takes a lot of courage to actually ship and make something public.
I would say it's not hard, but it is worth it, honestly. So take the risk.
Did anyone ever gave you negative feedback about things you shipped? Like very discouraging?
Not, I'm not trying to get things personal because I know that, well, I'm a product manager. I have always received any type of feedback, right? So even for your own products, don't treat them as babies. I would say that. Like, I'm trying to be very conscious if at some point I have to shut down DraftKit, for example. I have to see that in the future that it's a possibility. Product managers, we always need to be thinking in that way. And I won't say that that's a negative mindset or something like that, but it helps you to be resilient because if you actually need to kill a product at some point, you know why. You know why it didn't work, and you can build the other solution that really satisfies that need. So I have received a lot of different feedback. I wouldn't consider positives or negative ones. I'm just trying to balance in the middle what really the user is trying to tell me. If something is not working, well, why? Why it was not clear to me? Sometimes it's just changing the message in the front end, just tweaking the text to communicate the right thing. So that's how I see feedback, and I'm not trying to take it all personally, right?
Yeah, I actually love it because users, stakeholders, they just give us information. It's not positive or negative. It's just information. Just like analytics, it's just information we have to
Yeah,
interpret.
exactly.
That's a really great point of view. Thank you. Elena, thank you so much for joining us today. You gave, I think, nuggets, golden nuggets of advice as an experienced product manager. We'll continue watching the Advent calendar, the draft kit, and reading your newsletter. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Bye.